When I made the decision, the conscious decision to become a warrior, I realized that my mentality had to be very different. And what that meant was I had to put myself through a bunch of crucibles to gain the warrior mentality. Some guys are born with it. I believe that. Some guys are born because they have some great childhood and their dad's tough on them and they build this mental toughness and this discipline in this kid. I didn't have this. So I had to design a crucible to put myself through to gain this warrior mentality. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by warrior mentality, which is why some people take what I say so literally and they just say, my God, you're just crazy, you're gone. No, God had to put some people on this planet Earth to do very dangerous things to protect this country. Love it or not, I'm one of those people. Mm-hmm. So to have the mentality that I have, to be in a room that's 10 by 10, I have a weapon, I'm outside a door, I don't know what's behind that door. So our job as a SEAL, most of our job is to go behind, open a door and say, surprise, we're here. Mm-hmm. The thing about the surprise is I don't know what's behind that door. So to have that kind of mindset to say, I'm gonna look at AK-47 in the face repeatedly, you know what kind of mind it takes to open that door and not be afraid to shut that door and run away? I was building that callous mind through these things, bad waters, so even after I became a SEAL, I was still on the journey to become a better warrior.
Right.
And these races and all these events, it wasn't about being an ultra runner. I saw, first of all, it was about raising money, but also the selfish side of it all was I was building a warrior mentality by putting myself in the crucible of hell at mile 60 of a 135-mile race in Bedwater. What are you thinking? Blisters, shin splints, stretch fractures, peeing blood maybe. What are you going to do now, David? How are you going to get the next 70 miles in this race?
Well, that's when you find out who you are.
Exactly.
You know, it's like everything builds to that moment. It's all about that moment and that decision that you have to make when everything else is stripped away from you.
Right.
That's going to reveal to you who you are.
Exactly who you are.
And what your character is. Right.
And what's good about that is a lot of people set these great goals, like they want to do Badwater, or they want to do an Ironman, or they want to be a millionaire, or whatever they want to do. They have these great goal lists, and they're amazing. Goals are important. But what we don't do in life, which is why people quit in SEAL training and they quit in these different things, we don't look at ourselves in the accountability mirror and take care of the number one thing before you start a goal. Let's take care of our insecurities, because they're going to surface when you put yourself in the crucible and you're suffering. Mm-hmm. You may be the best physically fit person on the planet. If you haven't handled your mind and handled your jealousies, your insecurities, whatever happened to you as a child and in between, they're going to surface at the time when your mind starts to question, why the hell am I out here in this race?
Right, because if you don't know why you're doing it, most people, I would venture to say that most people that sign up for these things don't really have a firm grip on why they're doing it. And more often than not, it is fueled by some insecurity or some sort of, ego issue. Right. So that when shit goes left, there's nothing there.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
They can't grab
to
on
back
the
it
shit.
up to.
That's right.
Because the priorities are kind of out of whack, because there is that disconnect with the real reason, or the kind of the appropriate healthy drive to get somebody to invest in something.
I'm glad you said
that.
Healthy drive, because that's true. What keeps a person in the fight is having purpose. Having purpose. Leave the ego at the door, because the ego will kill you every time. You will always quit. So that's why I've been able to get through things, because I know I was a scared, uneducated kid who stuttered and had zero. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and hold myself accountable for who I wasn't and who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. And that process didn't happen overnight, man. And it didn't happen through only 3 buds. I mean, you've done tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. You've also done Army Rangers. Are you on Wikipedia it says you're the only guy in current, well, not anymore because you retired, but current armed forces who's done Rangers,
Air Force Special Ops,
Buds, and Air Force Special Ops.
That's true.
3. Yeah.
Yep. It's very true.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
There should be some kind of insane medal for that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing about it, man. It's kind of like you're constantly looking. For me, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. I was on a journey to see who David Goggins was. And that journey took me in some of the hardest areas a human being can even imagine. And right now at 41, I'm the happiest person on the planet, because, I had to climb Mount Everest several times just to look down on my life, to see what hell I came from. And that's what kept me going through all this stuff. Like I envisioned myself going through, like when I was a young kid and they called me nigger all the time. My dad beat the hell out of me and I had no self-esteem. I had this vision of, if I can make it to where I want to go, imagine when I look back on my damn life, how proud I will be. And now I'm here. I'm able to look back on this life I lived that many people will never understand, because why? When you're passionate, they think you're crazy. And you can't even explain to people why you're doing or why you did what you did, because you found your purpose. And once you found your purpose, you can't really explain it to normal people because they don't understand passion, because they live everyday life just going, not really finding their purpose. So I become a foreign language to people. So they put me in the category of, you're just crazy. No. I'm passionate. I found my purpose in this life.
Yeah, and you're embracing it,
Right.
and you're owning it completely.
Right.
And that freaks people out. People aren't used to that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
There's so much packed into what you just said that I want to kind of, take a look at. I mean, the first thing, I want to talk about happiness and your idea of happiness, but one of the first things you said is, David Goggins, this, like you're referring to yourself in the third person.
Always.
And that's always like a little weird, but I know why you do it. Like there's the difference between kind of, who you are, or like the 8-year-old
right.
David Goggins, and this sort of, Superman cape that you put on to become this sort of warrior mentality.
Well, I had to create Goggins because David Goggins was a weak kid. So I created Goggins. So the crucible of life that I decided to take to become who I wanted to become, I created Goggins. Goggins is the guy talking right now. David Goggins was the kid that got bullied and all these other things, and I created Goggins. Mm-hmm. I created a guy I was proud of.
Was that like a conscious decision? You're like, this is what I'm doing, or did that kind of, you just come into that, sort of come into that awareness, like, oh, this is what I did. I didn't even realize I was doing this.
Oh no, it was very conscious.
Yeah,
it was very conscious. It was all internal. None of it was external. I don't care about money. I didn't care about awards. I didn't care about medals. I didn't care about Badwater. I don't care about ultra running. These were all things for me to build the internal in myself. Mm-hmm. So like people don't get it twisted, man. I did this to be proud of who I am as a human being. And most people live a lie. I hated the lie I lived. And the lie I lived was I was nothing. And I knew I was nothing. And my journey, I wanted to be something. I wanted to be proud of who I was, and it took me in that direction.
Yeah, I think the thing that's sort of cool and unique about the ultra distance world is that, they kind of, these races exist pretty much off the radar. I mean, they're becoming more and more popular now, but
right.
It's not about like media attention, and there's no prize money, and Ultraman, there's cars driving, during the race and like all that kind of thing, right? So the idea is that you're really, it's a race, but you're there to challenge yourself.
Period.
And at the end, when you reach that finish line, whether you're a crew member supporting somebody or you're the athlete who's taking on this thing for him or herself, that you are transformed somehow
right.
through the result of undergoing that experience.
Right.
That's what it's about.
Like that Badwater you talked about in 2013.
Yeah.
I walked 105 miles.
Right.
And I spent 7 hours in the vehicle from having so many issues with my body. And everybody goes, "Why didn't you quit, man? You could have killed yourself." It's not about that, man. I'm not out here to kill myself. Don't get it twisted, man. It was honestly at that point, it became a whole new challenge. The challenge was always to do my best. But at that point where I saw my best was done.
Your best on that day, given whatever circumstances God gave you that day.
It was, so I took what God gave me that day and said, well, I had to readjust the goals. And I found happiness and joy and peace. And like, okay, man, we're going to reset this damn boy, and we're going to walk 105 miles.
Right.
And we're going to get to the finish line, and you're going to walk 105 miles of Badwater. It's going to be horrible. And that's what happened. Uh-huh.
So how many hours did you still make it under the 48-hour?
I didn't. I came right behind Dean.
Oh, you did?
I was like, I think 20 minutes behind Dean. Yeah, I came 20 minutes behind Dean. It's like 32 hours and some change.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I came right behind
Dean's
you.
having a hard time too, but you know, he by no stretch of the imagination did he walk 100. I mean, he was doing a lot of running.
I walked the whole race.
You were walking faster than I think you were then.